Hey, what's going on, guys? Jeff's Reeftank here with another update on my 300-gallon office tank. So as you could probably see from the picture on my video, I found a Trident. So I was listening to some live streams earlier this week. Actually, it's DC Reefer's live stream, and Reefing with O was on there. He mentioned he stopped by Manhattan Aquariums, which is in New York City, Manhattan, New York. And he said he saw they had some Tridents in stock. So that's an LFS that I go to probably once a week as I'm making my rounds in Manhattan. So I'm literally driving and listening to the stream, and he said there was a few that he saw there, and he ended up taking pictures with them. And he didn't buy one, but he took pictures with them. So that led me to make sure I headed over to Manhattan Aquariums. So when I got there, I looked up at all the Apex items, and I saw that there was no Tridents on the shelf. So I pretty much checked out a couple of things. You know, I stop in there once a week, once every other week, just to see what corals they have in there. So they have a very good selection of corals and really nice fish. So on the way back out, I looked over the counter, and there was a Trident box up there. And it had nobody's name on it, didn't say reserved, didn't say on hold. So I just literally was standing behind the one person that was at the counter waiting to get rung up. And I pointed to the Trident to one of the salesmen, and he brought it down, and I says, "Can I get it?" And he looked at the other lady, and he said, "Sure." So that goes to show you, sometimes when you listen to live streams and you hear things that are going around in your area or things that are going on in your area, it's ultimately useful for every reefer. You benefit from other people's experiences, you benefit from other people's exposure to different things, and you can learn, and sometimes you can get great finds. So this was a good find. It's something I've been waiting for. Bulk Reef Supply, all the other big guys, they get them and they're almost instantly sold out. So this is something that can help me with my SPS dominant tank. As you can see, I only have one LPS in there. Everything else is SPS. And a couple of weeks ago, my CO2 ran out. So it was one of the situations where I didn't know until I started to test just routinely and figured out my alk was 6.1. So if I would have had a Trident, I would definitely got an alert. And it's better to keep track of all your parameters, the critical parameters, especially when running an SPS tank. So that's the good news for this week. I literally picked it up yesterday and set it up last night. So far there was 2 tests, and the way it's reading is roughly 1 DKH off. I was running my tank at 9.4, and it's reading right around 8.4. So they did say you need to run it for a few days before you calibrate it. So you have to be calibrated. I'm sure when I calibrate it, it'll be right on the money. Yeah, so that's the really nice surprise that I found when I went to Manhattan Aquarium. And the guy said, he showed me another one behind the counter, and he says it has somebody's name on it. That one was reserved. So it's perfect timing that I had, and I pretty much lucked out. So this is going to help me with stability and make sure there is no other issues when it comes to the critical parameters like calcium, magnesium, and most importantly, alkalinity. So yeah. Great product. So I'll definitely be giving you guys an update on how it's doing. Other than that, I'm doing a project that I've been putting off for a long time. Some people may know that from my other videos that I did fight with hair algae and nutrients in the tank and really couldn't figure out what was going on. I did find out once I hooked up my Apex to the system, and I just went to check on the consumption of each of the units that I have plugged in, and I have my Skimmer plugged in, and it turns out that I can show you right here that this is just a snapshot of the last few days of my skimmer. It's a Skim's internal skimmer that I have on my tank, and as you can see, there's a lot of peaks and valleys in the consumption, the wattage draw for the skimmer. So that led me to believe that do have an issue with one or both of the internal pumps. So it's really supposed to be a flat line. Consumption should be pretty flat, and you can see it's ups and downs. So it probably should be reading somewhere around 65, but it goes down to 57. It fluctuates. So that led me to believe that one or both of the pumps are not functioning the way they should. And the difficulty with this skimmer and my setup is that if you look, you'll see I had to pull the entire sump out in order to get access to the skimmer because there's not enough clearance for me to remove even the collection cup. So it's very tight underneath my stand, but I probably could have dealt with that. But if you look here, a little hard to see, but there are two internal pumps that produce the foam and the aeration and the flow inside the skimmer. So I did go ahead and order two more. This is not the first time that I'm doing this. This is like the third time. So I'm not sure if it's actually a unit or routine maintenance, but it's just a difficulty of basically this is a big project to get everything disconnected and so I could pull out my sump. But I do have two new units and I will be putting them in today and keeping track of the consumption, and I'm hoping that if this turns out to be more of a flat line, then it'll produce much more consistent skimmate and do its job on a more consistent basis, because sometimes when I go to the collection cup or my container there, it's some days is more, some days is less, some weeks is more, some weeks are less. So this is pretty much what was going on behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of until I checked the readings and the consumption on my skimmer. So, but other than that, it's something I caught, and the tank doesn't have any algae in it, which is good. You know, I've been just monitoring my feeding, making sure everything is going right, and whatever remnants of hair algae that was there pretty much got taken care of by the tanks. So the system is back to being stable. So especially once I make this change here, I'm going to let you guys know how it is, and also I'm going to do live stream on how the battery backup's operating as well, because those who don't know, Reefing with O made sure he told everybody as well on the stream that there was a power outage in Brooklyn, New York when we had that heat wave, and I was actually away. I was on a cruise for 4 days, so fortunately here where my office is, the power didn't go out, but I definitely want to make sure I test those battery backups, because they are running two of the biggest pumps that the manufacturer makes. So yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys an update on the tank. Really good news. Looking forward to this Trident, and I'm looking forward to everything dealing with the new technology here to keep me much better track of my parameters. I can see how things are growing and how the corals are reacting as well. So all right, so that's about it for this month's update, guys. Appreciate you guys following along, and I'll talk to you guys next month.